And then the Shavan Rajamayana. Zoba Sanja Ribata Shasundem. Devare Shavan Jiden Jamba Jivon Deve Kanoji. Lana Meva Lada Menanje Damba Jumde. Rajawa Shaja Dubama Sasano Judo Jabuji. Damba Jumden the Shavan Rajamayana. Zoba Sanja Ribata Shasundem Devare Ship. Jiden Jamba Jivon Deve Kanoji Lana. Lada Menanje Damba Sanje Jumden Debe. Shaja Tuba Lansa no Chudo Jabuji. Kanze Ganye Zowa Jatamase, Sajan Dena Kumatu. Manage then no churches on the Zakaba Chumasa. Namda Gunga Jodo Susama, Yishi Jato Sejarum. Chaban Jiden Sumnama Meva, Gombo Choni Joma Sahasa. Central Dembachimen, Davishi, Sendon Dawa Joma Sahasa. The Rachel Siva Sumachi and Yameke Joma Sahasa. Gombo to Jedam Batum Jim Bedama, Sumamin. The Shenshama Cha, the Notaben, the Shacho, you giving it. Chida the Nocho, washing your Jamacha, the Lieutenant Labata Rabin, the Shingatamba, then they get them on your child. The watching Mejajan gave up also watching Rangason. Tennis on Jetemba, Yakama Rabi, Mamma, you must have Melon of that tender one to church and the Rata Sonam. Tamja Siva Yokomatam, the Jinjan that didn't got on the Sivazon and Joan show.
To the teacher, the blessed one, the one beyond, the foe destroyer, completely perfected, fully awakened, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, the prostrate make offerings and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When supreme among humans you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then I prostrate. With pure bodies, supremely pure, crystal motion like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the teacher having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities of a vast ocean. To you the one gone to dustness I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality. To that Dharma which pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you the sublime community contending virtue I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these layers may sentient beings attain the ray of all seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from the ocean of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanje Chodo Sojo Chono Chanju Pado Tane Jatu Davin Jeso Jebe Sonam Je Rola Benji Sanje Rubashi Sanje Chodo Sojo Chono Chanju Pado Tane Jatu Davin Jeso Jebe Sonam Je Rola Benji Sanje Rubashi.
I go for refuge and tell enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and tell enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and tell enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Pamba meba do meba, cheba meba do meba, gaba meba, je meba, tene nyangen de buju. Rishi nyangen de meme, ngashi sinye te buju, gata chiwa meba iyo, ngobo yobo mebe. Kede nyangen de mana, nyangen de ban duje jiro, ngobo duje manyi ma, gaya kana hayo ma. Kede nyangen de mana, jida nyanda de me, gashi tene manyi ma, gaya yobo mebe. Kede nyangen de meme, ngume jida rungo jo, kama nyangen de meme, tela ngume yobo. Kede nyangen de meme, jida nyanda de me, gashi tene manyi ma, ngume yobo. Oma tani driva nga tanam joja kanyama, tene teme joja me nyangan de bayi bat. Junga tani jiwa tanga panga teme kaze do, tiji nyangan de bane, mume me batrik. Kede nyangan de bane, ngwede mume nye, ngwede mobo me bata, tewa juna teme. Kede nyangan de bane, ngwede mume nye, nyangan de bama teme, tini tene je. Chida nyangan de bane, ngwede mume nye, nyangan de bane je, ngwede mume je. Chida nyangan de bane, ngwede mume nye, tini jila yu. No, that women of men, young and ever can never move met over to nothing. Kidding young and ever near women of men, women of men, yes, as you can the language. Jim Daniel and the European Meadows, you mentioned Jim de Sugar on your European or Meadows, you mentioned Koan young and ever never choose you. Young and ever call Java human. Young and the dog on your mouth in a covata in the Tinya Cabration. Simple town on your money, Cadebin, Donald, young and the Munjatana de Mayu, Mobatam Jotom, Tayaji, Tada Tame Chishi, Tada Tame Membership, Tinyaji, Shenji, Tabachi, Tada Meta, Niga member Chishi. Mibatam Jinji, Jovaniji, she was the Sanjay in the country. Sulon, Chunga, Madendo, and young and the Bottle of Shesha, 강의에 뭐 대전 너무 엄매번이 도서 20년 몇세매 빼매다 뭐 차세 I think we are on the page 313, right? So right now, Madhyamika Prasanga school, minority school, minority school thinks that the consciousness, all the consciousness must be truly exist. So one of the examples of the consciousness that truly exists is like a dream consciousness. The object of the dreams are not true, but consciousness itself is emerged from the habit or the imprints. So therefore, the dream consciousness is truly exists. Now, here the page 313 says how the dream analogy in Chandrakirti school, how the dream analogies establish all entities to be false. Having established that dreams have no reality on the ground, that what appears as the three factors in the dream, object, sense organ,
and consciousness. So the object of the dream, sense organs that you feel like you are seeing something in the dream through your eye consciousness, the sense organs, and the eye consciousness that is in the dream that you think you are looking at something, are all unreal. Chandrakirti, to demonstrate the unreality of all the other phenomena that have yet to be established as a lacking true existence, state that even during the waking state, all phenomena are proven to lack intrinsic existence. So he writes in Chandrakirti's root text, and as in dream, here too, in the waking state, phenomena are false, and the mind has no existence. There are no object of experience, and so, and no sense either. So the mind-only Prasangika school is trying to convince the mind-only school, saying that as the dream, object of the dreams, and the eye sense organ in the dream, eye consciousness, or eye consciousness and dream, all are equally unreal, right? Things that you in the dream you're seeing, the object, the eye sense power, consciousness, unreal. So which is trying to kind of, Chandrakirti pushing the mind-only school, saying that the subject and objects are equally unreal. So now Prasangika school thinks that, they're trying to establish the even the consciousness is not truly exist. And the commentary says, just as the three factors, object, sense, faculty, and the consciousness, are all false in the dream, phenomena are false here too in the waking state. So now waking state means, color that you see, waking state, you see the color and eye consciousness, eye sense organs, or all of them unreal as a dream object. So according to the Prasangika school, nothing is intrinsically exists, therefore unreal. So therefore the mind perceiving these phenomena has no intrinsic existence. Likewise, there are no object of experience of the sense, such as form and so on, and no intrinsically arising sense organ either. The commentary says that it is stated in the sutra, the Buddha and sutra, the Buddha says, just as one perceives magically conjured animals, things through appearing do not exist in reality. They resemble illusion and are like dreams. This truth has been shown by Tathagata. Also, being objectively existing are dream-like. There is no birth, no death for anyone, no sentience, no human, no life can be found. All these phenomena are like a form and or banana trees. We call water tree. Mm-hmm. So it's which means essenceless. Things do not exist by their own essence. Yeah, so still mind-only school, thinks that there is reason to believe the consciousness must be truly existing, is the consciousness, the produced by the cosmic conditions.
Mhm.
You know, so consciousness produced by the cosmic conditions. So the main reason is something that has happened due to the cosmic condition must be truly exist, right? So therefore, maybe the object that you see in the dream may not be true, but the dream consciousness is derived from or arising from the imprints. The Prasangika school idea is like an object is unreal, the consciousness and the sense organ that you think you are seeing through your eye consciousness, is unreal. And the eye consciousness, which is seeing the form in the dream, is also unreal. Therefore, dream consciousness is also not truly exist. The statements such as these then become truly well uttered inside. The phrase "no birth for anyone" and so on should be understood as, in the case above, where the negation is expressed with the phrase "do not exist in reality." So, Chandrakirti is commenting on the Buddha Sutra, this Buddha Sutra that says, there's no birth, no death for anyone, no sentient, no human, no life can be found. All these phenomena are like a form in a banana tree. Banana tree, I don't know. So they're saying that it is not really objectively, there's no objectively exist, or there's no intrinsic sentient, there's no intrinsic human, there's no intrinsic life can be found, and objectively, because the human being or the sentient being is not objectively groundable within the aggregates of the body, aggregates of the feeling, aggregates of the thought, and aggregates of the perceptions. So no sentient being can be found with eye, ear, nose, tongue, skin, bones, right? So no human, no any life can be found. So therefore, the sentient being, if there is a sentient being exists, relatively, relatively it exists or conventionally exists, or it exists through conception. Conceptually, yes, there are sentient beings, there's human being, there's the life, but all those are conceptually exist, conceptualized, therefore not objectively exist. To continue, the root text reads that, so here, just as with the waking state, the three factors of the dream exist until waking up. Upon rousing, the three become no more. So it is for those awakened from the sleep of delusion. So you can, intrinsically, you can find object and subject, or the duality of the subject and the object, or you can find, independent form, independent eye faculty, independent eye consciousness. You can find three independent, entity, in the sleep of the ignorance. Within the ignorance, out of ignorance, or within the world of the ignorance, you can find there is a form that independently exists. There is the eye sense organ that independently exists, independently functioning. There's the eye consciousness, independent perceiving or experiencing. So like you dream, you can see the elephant, 100 elephants in a small room, right? So within the sleep of ignorance, you can find everything is independently exist. So all of them, when you awake from the sleep of the delusions, or when you awake from the sleep of ordinary sleeping, and then you find all the dreams are unreal. Similarly, everything that you see, the subject and object, there is no independent, duality of the subject and object. So here, with respect to people in the world, there are some who, though caught in ignorance sleep, are free from ordinary sleep in the sense of being awake. Nothing arises for them through its own essence. But within the dream-like perspective of ignorance sleep, all three factors, object, sense, organ, and cognitions, do not exist intrinsically for them, just as with the waking state. Like when you awake, and for some who is asleep, as long as they remain in that state, and until woken up, the three factors, object, sense, and cognition of a dream continue to exist. Yet, upon rousing from sleep, the three things of the dream become no more. So it is for the Buddha who, having awakened from or eradicated the sleep of the delusions in its entirety, have actualized the ultimate expense of the reality. For them, all three factors no longer exist at all. So consciousness in the absence of the external reality, that is the main argument. So consciousness of the absence of external reality, as postulated by Cittamatra, has no existing at all. This said, it is from within the perspective of Buddha's seeing the way things really are, emptiness, that the three factors are not perceived as for his seeing things in their diversity is the conventional truth, although no perceptions arises from the Buddha's mind being infected by the propensities of the ignorance. It does know these three factors through perceiving what appears as sentient beings whose mind are thus affected. Yeah, now almost clear, right?
So they're saying that Buddha sees things without the intrinsic qualities of the three factors, but he also sees what sentient beings see.
Yeah, usually normally the name of the Buddha is one of the names, Tathagat, So the Buddha means Tathagat. Tathagat means, seeing as it is. What he sees as it is. He sees everything is absence of intrinsic existence, which means his mind is forever, is kind of the mix with the emptiness. Buddha's mind is totally settled in that reality, as it is. So therefore, Buddha, what Buddha can directly see is everything is absence of intrinsic existence. Now the question is, for sentient beings, when they start to know the emptiness, when you know the emptiness, you focus on the emptiness, you forgot the conventional reality. you don't really perceive the conventional realities, right? So when you see the conventional reality, you forgot the emptiness. So the sentient beings find there's a, kind of, this is too old, When you focus on emptiness, you don't see the conventional reality. When you see the conventional reality, you're not seeing the emptiness. So we can impose that kind of experience in the Buddha's nature, saying, oh, if Buddha sees everything is absence, does that mean Buddha's know nothing? Conventional reality is totally absent in his mind. And then says, Buddha do not see as sentient beings sees the conventional reality, but the Buddha sees every detail of the conventional realities relative to existence, because Buddha knows exactly how sentient being minds sees things, right? So if sentient beings sees something and experience something, Buddha, exactly knows how they perceive the object. So which means Buddha is still, while he is totally, being inseparable with emptiness, at the same time, simultaneously, he knows the conventional reality. So that is the kind of quality of the omniscient. Omniscient means within the 1 second, 1 moment, in the both sides, the conventional and emptiness, the both sees. There's no alternate. So emptiness and conventional, emptiness. So simultaneously. So which means the why Buddha sees the conventional reality and emptiness at the same time, because the Buddha's mind is free from, the stain of the afflictive emotion. There is no even the imprints that can infect or influence the Buddha's mind. Now, the main kind of argument is Prasangika school trying to convince the mind-only schools. Mind-only school says there is no external reality. The form, sound, smell, taste, tactilities do not exist externally. They all arise from, the consciousness is the part of the consciousness. What you see is part of consciousness. What you hear is the part of consciousness. What you smell, what you taste, what you feel, right? Everything is the consciousness. So therefore, the external may not be truly exist, but consciousness is truly exists. So then the Prasangika school is saying consciousness is equally not true as the object, right? As the color. So now, I think here the color is something that in the Prasangika school accept this is external. External color is external, sound is external, taste and tactility is all external. Because external, because is the consciousness sees something, outside of the sense organ, through the sense organ. Therefore, it called external. And at the same time, Prasangika school do not accept those external objects intrinsically exist or independently exist. Like color in existing, color exists through the space, light, and sense power and the form. All together creates the color for the consciousness. There is no color that intrinsically inherent in the form, inherent in the light or the space of the sense power. There is no such color that inherent in any factors, but altogether it creates the color to see. So therefore color is not intrinsically exist, but it is external because the consciousness experiences them through the sense power. sense faculty or sense faculty. Yeah. So the minority school is their head is very thick. So minority school insist think that the reason they believe the consciousness must truly exist is because it's born from the cosmic condition. It is not just projection. It is not just imagination. The consciousness is not just imagination. It experience. It's born through the cosmic condition. So, which means that the minority school understanding of not truly existing, they can understand not truly existing imaginations, mental projections, imputation of factors are not truly exist because they are all projected and imposes by the thought. So then the consciousness is not the imagination, consciousness is not the mental projection. And then like the self, the person is not mental projection. The person is born from mother and father. So the person has to be truly exist, right? Now, unlike the non-Buddhist school's Atma or the self is not only is is a functioning, it is also permanent. The self, but the person is always remain unchanging, But yeah, there's a little bit, they always find they also find that contradict what they are believing, because they always says, "Oh, I'm getting old. He's getting younger, So he's getting old and he died." They also say that, and they also believe that person who is they are expressing he is getting older and younger and whatever he's saying, right? He is happy, he's not happy, but it is that very person is they believe is permanent. And by definition, permanent is not changing, but they keep expressing it's changing. So in the minority school, they think they are very, very realistic thinking. The consciousness is truly exists. So then the Chandrakirti brings the example like a dream consciousness, and there is no dream object that exists in reality, right? In reality, because it just reflects in your mind from the imprints. And there is no sense organ in that dream that is through the sense organ you are seeing that dream object is also unreal, right? And then eye consciousness that you think that you feel that in a dream, you think that I am looking at something. There is no eye consciousness real. So the dream consciousness, which is perceiving, there is the eye consciousness, there is eye sense organ, there is the object to see. That consciousness too is not true, not reality, not real. It false. So the minority school says, no, that's not false. That nature of the consciousness, of the dream consciousness, is truly exists. Maybe there's the influence or kind of the, affected by the imprints of affecting on the dream consciousness to feel like there's the eye consciousness, to feel like there's something to see. But dream consciousness, the nature of that, it truly exists, but it is, affected by the imprints. So what they are trying to say is, and also, like right now, my eye consciousness, I feel my mind feel that I am seeing something external. I'm seeing external, the color, shape, and anything. So because the minority school says, because my ignorance is influencing or impacting on my mind, that I feel like I'm seeing external reality. But the consciousness, the mind itself, is that truly exists, but it is powered by, delusion. Therefore, your mind feels that you're seeing external.
Yeah, that sounds contradictory. Yeah, because if the consciousness was truly existent, then it shouldn't be influenced or impacted by delusions whatsoever.
Sometimes people say he's very honest. He just, corrupted by people.
Oh, yeah.
That person is so innocent, right? He was very innocent. Mm-hmm. He was a very good person. He got just carried out by some habit or drink. That's why he did that, the wrong things.
Right.
So there's all, first you're saying that person is a good person in his innocence. At the same time, out of kind of influence of some kind of drink or any friends, and he did that wrong thing. So that proves he is not a good person, right? So you're seeing the both. The person is good by nature, but the person is not good by his action.
This is something, it's almost like I can understand partially why the Cittamatra school says that, because if you the thing I think of is when in single pointed meditation, you're kind of just focusing, you can observe awareness and kind of be focused in on it, and there's kind of that want to be very clearly I'm aware of this, it's here, it feels tangible, but kind of like you talked about, there's almost seems like it's in my head too easy to just say oh yeah, see, I'm, this awareness is here, that's truly existing, I can be aware of it, and then that's that. It seems like it's almost, like I said, too easy to land on that.
It's kind of, sometimes you feel like, the minority school is, they're right now. Mm-hmm. The consciousness, why consciousness truly exists. Consciousness is there. Mm-hmm. And because of the consciousness, you can feel, you can taste, you can see things, you can hear things, you can imagine things, right? You can reveal some kind of things. The consciousness, if not truly exists, how can this be possible? So now the question here is, so now the reflections, the mirror image, and the reflection of the moon in the water, the mirage, all has a function. You can, you cannot say these are false, these are unreal, right? These are unreal. The mirror, for example, the mirror image. The mirror image is unreal because it is never true. It always appears as a real face, but it's not face. And the reflection of the moon in the water is unreal because it looks like a moon, but it's not a moon. Now, when you say the consciousness is truly exists because it is functioning, the function is also in the mirror image. There is a function in the reflection of the moon in the water. There is a function in the mirage. All the unreal has the function. But there are relatively exist. But they relatively exist, but unreal. Right? And why not the consciousness? Why you are so afraid the consciousness proving unreal? It is you think that you're annihilating the existing of the consciousness. Yeah. When you prove unreal to the reflection, you are not annihilating the existing of the reflections, right? So the consciousness, the minority school is so kind of defending, defensive, right? Because the consciousness, if it's not truly exist, and then consciousness may not be exist. If consciousness not exists, there's no law and cause and effect. There's no Buddha, there's no Dharma, there's no Sangha. And good news, there's no hell realm, there's no sentient beings, there's no suffering, So kind of, they overly defending that. There is some kind of, they think, proving the consciousness to be not truly exist is the annihilation of the existing of the consciousness. But they don't really feel, proving mirror image is unreal is annihilation of the existing of the mirror image. So this you see, and why they're overly defending on the consciousness, why they're okay with the reflection and the moon and the mirage. Like lies, Lies is because it is the lie, therefore it falls. But lie has the function. It can deceive you. The lie exists. Lie is born from the cause and condition. You can lie with your mouth by thinking, and some are very clever lies. So they're So yeah, the mind-owner school concern is they are worried about the annihilation of the cause and effect. So they think the mind-owner Prasangic school are proving, every existing is false and unreal, and that kind of, the minority school feel like it's kind of, they fearsome because they are falling into nihilism. So minority school think Prasangic school is falling in nihilism because they annihilate the existence of everything because they're proving everything is false. Now the question is, why don't you feel annihilating when it comes to proving false of the mirror image? Proving false of the mirage and the reflection of the moon and the water. Because mirror image has nothing to do with virtue and non-virtues. Maybe that's their real problem, So consciousness proving to be false and not truly exist, and then that become, virtues is not truly exist. Non-virtues not truly exist. So it's kind of, there's a some kind of threatens on their religious belief. So I think that's kind of, so they're overly protecting the law and cause and effect. So this is why, even the dream objects, the dream sense organs, dream eye consciousness, all are false, but the dream state of mind must be truly exist. This is what they think. So the Prasangic schools, there's no problem. Even the false existing has the reality. Is a convenient relatively exist. All the false things are relatively exist. They are not non-existent, because they are false. There's no false in the rabbit form, right? There's no false in unicorn. There's no story where unicorn pokes the people's stomach. Right? So there's no false. The false in the reality, something can perform the function. Something can, harm or the benefit. There is false, which means the false exists in the reality.
In Yeah. When you say in reality, are you talking like truly existing?
Relatively real.
Relatively.
Relatively real. But intrinsically there's no real, but relatively. Like east, west, north, south.
Mhm.
These are relatively exist. There is no east that objectively grounded in somewhere. So east is not in the not in the soil, not in the wood or tree or house. East is the direction that conceptually projected, because you have already projected the west. So once you project the west, and you have the east. When you project the east, you have the west. Just because it is true, not because of the place, not because of the land or anything. So these are, but we cannot say the east is false, therefore east does not exist. Right? East exists, but it falls. It's not truly exist. Because the east do not exist by itself. East exists through the projection, through conceptualize. So I think this minority school is having a little bit difficult to accepting that the virtues and non-virtues are false and unreal. So I think they find there is a dichotomy of the false existing and the non-existence. So if the false does not exist, right? If virtues and non-virtues are for the Prasangika minority school things, the virtues, non-virtues are not false. It's true, right? And the non-Buddhist school, like the Samkhya school, they, and particularly also, what's the Sanskrit name? Vaisasika or something, Charabha, we call it. Charabha. So they think space in the self, the person, and the virtues, non-virtues are permanent. And particles, the permanent. I think they are really also kind of, so they have strong grip on that kind of their faith. So their faith in Bhagavan is pivot on this believing, so believing the virtue and non-virtues, the space and atmas, they all truly exist. So that from there they can rise to put faith in the Bhagavan. So otherwise they kind of become shaky. The faith in the Bhagavan becomes shaky. The self is permanent, and space is permanent. Therefore self is permanent, and then virtues, non-virtues are permanent. It's fixed. Now you have no choice. You are in that kind of you just caught in there.
Mm-hmm.
So only option to free from the suffering is us, kind of worship to the Bhagavan.
Mm-hmm.
So I think therefore it is very important to believe the virtues and non-virtues are fixed and permanent. But still, Ved Purans, but the Krishna is sometimes explains the some of the virtues and non-virtues. He always relative. He talks relatively, and the virtue and the relative exist sometimes. Because he want to convince in the Krishna Bhagavad Gita, he want to convince Arjuna to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So he would push on that, and this talk about the virtues are not fixed.
Yeah, because he says it's his duty, right? Like
Yeah.
he says it's your duty to do this.
It's your duty is to you have to fight. Although all these people that
Yeah.
Your brothers and your teachers, you have to fight. Because the two virtues, they contradict.
Mm-hmm.
The one virtue says not to fight, not to harm, and especially your families.
Mm-hmm.
And now here the Krishna is in the battlefield. He want to push the Arjuna to fight, and then he talk about virtue is not fixed, saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, in the Prasangika schools, virtues and non-virtues are all relatively exist. Samsara is relatively exist. Liberations is relatively exist. Sentient beings relatively exist. Buddha is relatively exist. So another example. The first we have finished with dream state of mind. Has tried to convince the mind-only school is not truly exists. Now the second example is refuting the analogy, seeing the floating hairs. If Cittamatra asserts those with, what's that? This I have.
Myelodysopsia?
Oh, is
Yeah.
that one word?
It means
It's
The
kind
hair-
of
the hair
disease.
is floating.
Yeah.
Those with mild
Dia.
dysopia,
Yeah, that sounds better.
a malady, some kind of, perceives the floating hairs, the kind of disease that makes you see the floating hairs. Even the bald man can see the floating hairs with this disease, right? And so on, that do not actually exist. Similarly, even though no external reality exists, consciousness does exist by virtue of its intrinsic natures. Now here saying another for the mind-only school, do you think that externals are not truly exist, but the consciousness which sees the external reality is truly exist? So, and how about disease which makes you see the floating hair? So the floating hair is unreal, is not exist. It is only because of that particular disease caused you to, see the floating hair. So the seeing floating hairs and the floating hairs are all unreal. And similarly, if the external reality is not exist, it's not true, and how can be consciousness which sees the external reality is truly exist? Right?
Relative.
Yeah. It's a relative and irrelevant. So here the setting example, consciousness which sees the floating hair due to the condition by the disease, right? And so you say the floating hair is not exist. It's only because of your disease. So therefore, there is no consciousness which is seeing the floating hair.
Mm-hmm.
So that consciousness is false, like floating hairs. Right? So if you think the external reality is not true, and similarly, the consciousness which sees the external reality is also not true. Right? So these two is untenable. Why this is so, Chandrakirti writes, the cognition of one's suffering from defective sight, perceived floating hairs because of his malady. For such cognitions, both floating here and its perceptions are true. For such cognitions, for that, defected consciousness, for this is true. The both are true. For those who have clear sight, both these things are false.
Yeah, I have some question here, and that has to do with Sem and Rigpa. So, Sem is ordinary mind, and Rigpa is, from a tantric or Dzogchen view, it's primordially pure. I suppose you can't ultimately say, I have a little confusion here, because does it exist? Is it ultimately true? Is the Rigpa primordially true? The state of Rigpa, the state of primordial purity, is that something primordially and ultimately true, but from a relative viewpoint, you can't really say maybe it's true. You can't say ultimately it's true, but doesn't make it not true. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Yeah. I'm trying to say...
You're saying truth too.
Yeah, I'm saying the distinction between Sem and Rigpa, or if you like, you could say, what's the phrase in Gelugpa they use? Something light, what do they call it?
Clear light.
Clear light. Clear light. Clear light, thank you. Is clear light a fabrication? Because I don't think clear light or Rigpa is a fabrication. It's beyond concept. You can't say it's this or it's that. You can't say that, but it seems primordially pure and untainted, and can't be tainted by any action, good or bad. So that seems to me to kind of go a step even beyond this argument, maybe go a step, the true truths. We're talking about the true truths here. And from a relative viewpoint, that which we call true does not truly exist. It's an illusion. But in terms of Rigpa, which we can't, the label is true, our concepts of it are not true, but it seems to me untainted and therefore ultimately unfabricated. Do you understand what the distinction I'm trying to make here?
Yeah, kind of. I think the terminology of the Rigpa usually it says, like, for example, muddy water has the potential of the pure water. You can be filtered the muddy water, therefore you can have a pure water from that, because muddy water has the nature of the pure. Pureness is there, but just temporarily, right? It is, contaminated
Obscured. You could say obscured.
Obscures, yeah. So, yeah, temporarily obscures. But here, the potential of the pureness is still there within the muddy waters. So that's the idea, talking about the rigpa, the pureness of the consciousness. So it says, this is even in the anger, attachment, there's always the pureness is there, but it's temporarily contaminated by the misconceptions and the other kind of delusions.
Well, we could even put it quite a little bit differently, that awareness itself, the awareness itself is uncontaminated. However, your interpretation of what you're seeing that's what's contaminated. Your fabricated mind, your conceptual mind is the contamination. But Rigpa doesn't have the nature of north or south or east or west or good or bad. It's beyond all these dualistic distinctions. And it's not something we worship as a god, because we can't really, the moment we describe it with characteristics, we contaminate it. And so it seems to me that argument even goes beyond this.
Okay, it's okay. So I think that includes all of them. Every functional, the minority school is not making a distinction. So one particular functional thing truly exists, or others. So every functional thing, anything that born from cosmic condition, must be truly exist. There is no distinction in it. So it just equally level, everything that born from cosmic condition must be truly exist. Therefore, the consciousness they insist that it has to be truly exist. So then the question comes, and how about the dream consciousness? So dream objects, the things that you see in the dream are unreal. So why not you are accepting the dream consciousness as unreal? So then mind-only school says that dream consciousness itself is the product of the cosmic conditions. Therefore, it is truly exist. But truly exist does not mean anything that sees through the dream has to be true. So the dream consciousness is a truly exist, but it has, influence or kind of, contaminated by the imprints that you see the unreal things in the dream. So that mind school defends that the consciousness must be truly exist. So similarly, external objects, mind school thinks that there is no external reality. External reality is unreal, not true, but the consciousness which sees the external reality is the truly exist. So then the question is, why? Because the I consciousness truly exists, but I consciousness is, how it's contaminated by the ignorance that causes the ignorant to see the external reality. Right. So now the problem is with the, why you are so defensive about the consciousness may truly exist. If the consciousness not truly exists, consciousness may not exist at all. That's the problem. And then the question comes, in minority school, you believe the imaginations, kind of imputation of factors not truly exist. Does that mean you believe those imputation factors do not exist at all? And then they says, no, imputation factors do exist, but not truly exist. So they have, kind of, they feel comfortable talking about imputation factors not truly exist and it exists. So they are not comfortable talking about the consciousness not truly exists and it exists.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like they have
Yeah.
an example for one thing.
Yeah.
They should just take it
So
and
then-
somewhere else.
Then there's this, that's how we see the overly defensive. So they are not just because of something does not truly exist, therefore it is, not truly exist, therefore it does not exist at all. Because when they talk about imputation of factors, they believe it exists, but it's not truly exist. So there is no any, discomfort on that. But when it comes to consciousness, eye consciousness, which is seeing the floating hair, and even that all the floating hairs are unreal, but the consciousness, which is seeing that unreal object, they think that it truly exists. So they see the contradictions are clearly there, So that's, something is not really perfectly balanced, that, indicates, they, kind of their point of view is the philosophical point of view is not perfectly, mature yet,
Mm-hmm.
or it is clear yet. So now one thing is they are afraid because, when they think about Buddha is not truly exist, the Dharma is not truly exist, Sangha is not truly exist, and they are very, very kind of, they find it's very offensive. If Buddha is not truly exist, and Dharma is not truly exist,
Mm-hmm.
Sangha is not truly exist, the path that leads to liberation not truly exist. And then, almost like, that I will just put you in jail if you say that. So there's some kind of emotional attachment there. So that kind of, is not really, it's not really freeing your mind. There is some kind of, objective that is drawing, too much attention, too much attachment. So now they also find very, mindfulness school also find is at Prasangika school, Nagarjuna's, Chandrakirti's, how can they feel very faithfully follows the Buddha and very, compassionate, with that kind of view that everything is falsely exist. It's kind of, for them, it's very, it's unique. So they couldn't really go on that path. So everything does not truly exist, relatively exist. And they can understand the false and the relatively exist. It's, something that it proves it existing. It is one of the definition of the existing. So they are not falling nihilism. Why they are not falling in nihilism? Everything is not intrinsically absence, but still relatively exist. So they could not really imagine, they could not really, understand how can they find the balance and it not truly exist and it is the reality. So that's the kind of, so someone who is not yet ready to accept this kind of, there is the cause and condition, the functioning within the relatively exist, within the absence of truly exist. And then better kind of, holds on the mind-only school. And it continues the mind-only school and meditating on emptiness, and they will open the gate. Oh, yes, now Prasangika school was right. So everything does not truly exist, but still there is the law in cause and effect. There is a real function of the law in cause and effect within the absence of intrinsic existence. So now, and the Larry says about the Rigpas, so the primordial kind of, pureness and the Rigpas are a little bit different, The primordial, which says every sentient being is primordially Buddha. So they use the terminology yesang. Yesang, primordially no sentient being is samsaric. Primordially no sentient beings in suffering. Primordially no sentient beings in hell realm. But the primordially sentient beings are Buddha. So primordially, so they've used ye-sang. Ye-sang, by nature, sorry. By nature, no sentient being is helping. No sentient being is animal. By nature, no sentient being is bad person. Right? So which means each of the sentient beings, their nature, is uncontaminated. By nature, no one can contaminate. If by nature no one can contaminate by the delusion, so does that mean every sentient beings are not contaminated? No. By nature, not, but temporarily, yes, they are contaminated. Advantageously, delusion contaminated, So like muddy water of the Ganga waters, Ganges waters. By primordially, both are pure water. No muddy waters is primordially or by nature is contaminated.
Yeah, I was going to
If
say,
by nature contaminated, it cannot be filtered.
every time I've heard primordial used in that sense, it's always confusing to me because I think I've always heard it, I think of like dinosaurs, a long time ago. But and that's what always confuses me because it's like, well, how can it be primordial as if it's something that's all the way in the past? But equating primordial to nature.
How can we be primordial Buddha? We have a primordially be dinosaur, maybe. So this is what I think. When I was in Namgyal Monastery, we do the Guru Rinpoche Puja every 10th of the month. There's a line, Tamje Yen Sanya. Primordially, every sentient being is Buddha, but temporarily they are in samsara. And I always think, if everyone is primordially Buddha, why they're in samsara? So it kind of, there's a language, it's not really, how's it going to go? That the terminology is not really clear. The meaning is not clear to you. So the primordial means, from the beginning you are Buddha. So the primordial is not from the beginning you are Buddha, not talking about. By natures, by nature you cannot be contaminated. You cannot be attached to anything. By nature you cannot be angry all the time. By nature you cannot be jealous. Temporarily you can be jealous. Out of delusion you can jealous. But you can be, because by nature you are not jealous, therefore you can be free from jealousy. You can be free from anger because by nature you're not angry person. So I think that's very, this I have this misunderstanding a long time ago. So primordially every sentient being is a Buddha, and right now we're all in samsara. I know how this. So that's kind of, this is called yesang. That exactly the same Buddha nature. That the term that you use is different. And then Ripa, the clear lights, we also says every consciousness that actively engaging in an object has the nature of the purity there. Some people still believe that this kind of Lama's teaching, they received teaching, and they always misunderstood. They thought, oh, from the beginning we are Buddha. Now, maybe because of this body, because of my, because of this crazy environment, making me not Buddha. So I'm supposed to be Buddha right now, right? Because primarily everyone is Buddha. So I think this is what Chandrakirti, Cittamatra has this kind of something they feel not right. So consciousness, if proving to be not truly exist, is the annihilation. They think it's the annihilation of the existence of the consciousness. But when it comes to the mirror image, the reflection, the mirage, imputational factors, and then when it comes to those objects, and they feel there's no discomfort, they can accept it does not truly exist, but is relatively exist. So Chandrakirti writes, the cognition of one suffering from the defective side perceives floating here because of his malady. For such cognitions, both floating here and its perceptions are true. For that wrong perception, it's true. But this is not the case. And for those who have clear sight, both these things are false. One who has no defected sight, for them, floating hairs and the perception of the floating hairs are all false. If cognition exists without the cognized, Chandrakirti use cognitions, the subject, perceptions, and the object, the perceived object. If cognitions is functioning without depending on its object, one should see the floating hair even without the melodies. If the consciousness, the eye consciousness, which sees the floating hair, is without that object of floating hair, so which means the eye consciousness by itself is seeing the floating hair. So then, even the eyesight is not defected. When one is not defected, the sight can see the floating hairs. If cognition exists without the cognized, one should see the floating hair even without the melody, without the disease. Everyone can see. Maybe every Sunday people see the floating hairs. And Monday, Tuesday, not see it. Right? Oh, maybe this is the Sunday. We have to see it, the floating hair. That makes the eye sees the such things. This is not the case. And so no such cognition exists. So which means no such cognitions, wrong perceptions or the right perceptions, any of those, for the Prasangika school, nothing is true to exist. Everything, wrong perceptions relatively exist, right perceptions is relatively exist. Wrong and the right are both are absence of intrinsic existence. So like virtues, non-virtues are both are not truly exist. It's absence of intrinsic, but still, it is relatively exists. There are relative, relative effect. Non-virtue has a relative effect. The virtues have a relative effect. So the cognition of the one suffering the defective sight, defective eyesight, perceived the floating here because of his malady. Now for such cognition of the person, both visual perceptions and its object, the floating here are true. For that, wrong perceptions. Yet, from the perspective of those who have clear sight, those whose visions has not been affected by such malady, both these things, what appears as a floating hair, as well as the cognition that perceives it, are false. Both are unborn. For without an object, unborn without an object, even merely appearing one, Nawatan, just appear something. There's no any particular name. Just when you wake up, you just see things. So that is also perceptions is depending on its object. It's relatively exist. Not particular color, not particular object, just appear something is also relatively exist. So it would be difficult to posit, right, the existing of cognitions. However, this is exactly what opponent will have to admit. So the Chandrakirti was a little bit desperate now to say you have to. Second option is just slap.
Yes, when you say like cognition is born, does that mean it is in existence all the time, even without a object? Like it doesn't need an object to exist. When you say because they're saying cognition is unborn.
Yeah, unborn means. Now, this is the term, the unborn. I think Chandrakirti's commentary on this, sutra. Sutra says the beings of the secular existing are dream-like. There is no birth, no death for anyone, and no sentient, no human, no life can be found. All these phenomena are like form in a banana tree. So that unborn is, there's no intrinsic arising. There's no intrinsic arising, right? There is the yogurt that born from the milk, but yogurt is not born intrinsically from the milk. And what is the picture of that intrinsically born from the milk? And milk has to be there for yogurt to be born. When the yogurt happened and milk said, oh, now yogurt happened, I have to go. So that is intrinsically, So the milk is, disintegrating. By disintegrating its color and the taste, shape, and everything is by changing, and it turned into yogurt. So that is called yogurt is born. So it's not intrinsically born, but it's turned into something. Milk has turned into something and then the language says this born from that yogurt, that milk. Right. So, and then the question is, when the yogurt has born, who gave birth that yogurt? And then we say milk. So then in your picture, your concept is, oh, there's the milk and there's the yogurt. So these two, like mother and child. So the mother gives birth, and then she, holds the child on her lap. So maybe the yogurt is giving birth to the, as the milk is giving birth to the yogurt. Maybe milk was there at the time. So there's no intrinsic arising. There's no. This is the language we project that yogurt was born from the milk. Actually, milk is turned into the yogurt in the reality. So unborn is, there is no intrinsic arising. There is no intrinsic born. Like barley sprout born from the barley seed in the conventional, but the barley sprout is not intrinsically born. If intrinsically born, and first the arising of the barley sprout, then the arising of the barley sprout. And conceptually, there is the order. There's one state is unarisen but arising. The next moment is arisen, the physically there. So as you picture that, the sprouts, was in the state of unborn and is still a kind of exists as arising. And then next is arisen and the physically there, visually exist. So this can be possible in your image, but in the reality, there is no sprout which can exist as unborn. If there is a sprout, which is sprout, it is the product, and it is the sprout, therefore it has to be born. So there is no sprout and it's being unborn. It is impossible, but it's only possible in your image. Right? So therefore it's unborn is like that. In this way, there's nothing can be born intrinsically. Even merely being one say, yeah. If one does not admit the above consequences, so and asserts that even without the cognized floating here, intrinsically real cognition perceiving floating here does exist for someone affected with this as a mydosphere, or I don't know how do you pronounce that. So that kind of particular disease, In that case, one should see the floating here even without melodies. So here, the little bit in the Prasangic school, these called, this reason is called, because the Wopung Pu is a pushing. So they are not really perfectly being able to convince the minority school, but they're just using many examples and push them to admit it. So it's kind of, it's not failure, but it's trying through many ways to convince the minority school. It's okay, the consciousness not truly exists, but it is the consciousness. It is the, the function of things is the product. So yeah, in that case, once you see the floating hair, even without the melodies, the defect that makes the eyes see such things as a floating hair, for they are both exactly equal insofar the non-existing of their object and non-existence of their object are concerned. This argument is similar to the one where it's demonstrated that that if something arises from the intrinsically real other, it must then do so from everything else. This is similar pushing, like Prasangika school says. So there is arising, but nothing arises by itself, nothing arises from other, nothing arises without cause, right? So nothing arises from the both and by itself and others. So now the question, second is, if something in anything effect can arises by other, so then everything has to be born from everything. That is also the kind of so it kind of like pushing, Yeah, sometimes people use like nothing has born from others. Everything is born, everything is born relatively, conventionally, If something is born from other means, then the cause and effect has to be different, substantially different. If the cause and effect are substantially different, then these cause and effect become independent. If something can be born from other independent cause, like for example, if the body sprout can be born from independent cause, so then why not barley sprout can born from rice seed? Why not it can born from tomato seed? Right? If something born from others, if the barley sprout can be born from other, the cause which is different from the barley sprout. So then barley sprout should be born from rice and tomato seed. So that is, in the logic they call, pungpu means you just if you want to convince some, you explain and then you push them and you just hit them, right? So kind of like this, you just try your kind of whole effort to your opponent to admit that. So because most of the school, the Buddhist school, they think that cause and effect are different. Barley seed and the barley sprout are different. Barley sprout is different from the barley seed. Barley seed is different from barley sprout. Yogurt is different from the milk. Milk is different from yogurts. So that now Prasangika school says, if they are different, So, and now that there's two things. If the yogurt is different from the milk, milk is different from. So when you say that from, so there is the movement when you are comparing and the milk and the yogurt as a different. So when do they exist, coexist? When do they coexist? That you can compare. This is different from there. When the yogurt exists, milk is not there. When the milk exists, its yogurt is not there. When the barley seed is there, barley sprout does not exist. When the barley sprout exists, the barley seed does not exist. So when do you see that they are different? So do you say, I am different from yesterday person? Or, it is okay to say yesterday the person who has created negative karma, and today the person says, oh, that was yesterday, the other person. I did not do it. So I did not do it means I'm not doing it. So yesterday one who has done that is other. So if you can say, so then you have to accept everything that I'm going through, all the negative consequences is caused by other person. That other person has done all the bad things. Now I'm facing all these consequences. And then if someone who is successful and he also says, oh, I'm very successful because of that other person, right? Who was so generous in the previous life. It did all good things, So it's kind of, the other person who has done all the good things, the result will go to some other person. If you don't think that, and then how you think, you are different from yesterday persons. How you can yogurt is different from the milk. How can you think the barley sprouts are different from the barley seed? So yesterday was me. Yesterday was me. Today I am. Yesterday person is today me. Today person was yesterday person. That's only in the language that's different. So in the person himself, there is no different. So yogurt is no different from the milk. Barley sprout no different from the barley seed. Tomato is no different from the tomato seed. So nothing has born from others. So at the kind of, this is what they're saying, the Prasangika school, the Chandrakirti, using that kind of example and saying, so we are using different examples. First, the dream state of mind, and then the consciousness, which sees the floating here. And all these are trying to push you to admit the consciousness not truly exists, but still is a relatively exist. So intrinsically real others must then this from everything else. Yeah. Here too, if something arises from intrinsically real consciousness, the non-existing of the floating here being equal consciousness, intrinsically consciousness, and non-existing of the floating here being equal, not truly exist, right? One cannot maintain that someone with I melody sees the floating here, while the perception of the floating here does not exist, does not arises in someone free from such melody. So this is because with the implications that such cognition, seeing the floating here, does not depend on the presence of the I melody. We can force the consequences that these two will be totally unrelated to each other. One with defected sight, one is free from melodies. So since it is not the case that cognition of the floating here arises without such an I melody, no such intrinsically real cognitions in the absence of external reality exist at all. Now, back to the main point, your consciousness which is seeing the external reality that you believe does not truly exist, but the consciousness which seeing the external reality is truly exists, you say that is not true. Like if the external reality is not true, the consciousness perceives external reality also not true. So like the mirage, the mirror image is not true because it's not true, say, you don't say the mirage image is not true, therefore there is no mirage image. You don't say mirage image not truly exists, therefore mirage image has no function. So then you don't need to go to mirror. You don't see, you don't need the mirror because mirror has no function, because mirror image is not going to benefit to you, right? So when you do the makeup, you need the mirror, and by looking at the mirror image, you do things on your face, right? So therefore, mirror image, it is functioning. It has the real function. There's the real function, but still, the mirror image is not true. So you are comfortable with thinking the mirror image, although it's not true, but it is functioning. Similarly, the external reality is not truly exists, and at the same time, the consciousness which sees unreal is also not truly exist. Maybe something to do with and we still have a hard time to defining, not true means for you always think, oh, it's not real. Not real means to you not exist. Then that's the problem. Then, not real does not mean not exist. Not true does not mean not exist. So therefore, one, we say someone who speaks lie, someone who speaks, opposite of lie is honest, honestly speaking, lying, both are a conventional reality. So the lie exists. Therefore, if the lie exists, lie means not true. So not true is functioning. So the eye that sees the color. So now Prasangika school says, eye that sees the color is not true. Not true in the sense that color that you see is something independent out there. As it appears to you, as it feels like that. So there is, if the color do exist out there independently, it has to be inherent within the form or within the light or within the sense powers. If you try to find so where that eye can be located, the color can be located. So then if you cannot find that the color, the constant you're seeing the color is unreal, it's not true, but it exists. And then the sound, the smell, the taste, and everything is relatively exists. Relatively existing means not real, not truly exist. But not truly exist does not mean it's not exist. Yeah, it's hard to convince ourselves, because we always think that sometimes we think not truly means not exist. Sometimes he's lying means still, and is not a non-existence. True, not true, and the lie. Lie is not true, right? The lie is not true. So because it is lie, therefore it's not true. The lie is still there. It exists. So the color in the Prasangic school now, they dare to say that color that you see is lie. Smell that you are smelling is lie. It's unreal. So if you think that the color that they see is a lie, is unreal, so if you think it's not exist, it means to you that because it is not true, therefore it not exist. And then anything that lie is also not exist. Then you have no worry about lie can deceive someone, harm to someone, because the lie is non-existing, like a rabbit horn. Yeah, any questions?
I guess this just makes me think of when in meditation, you're kind of just, again, focusing on like awareness, and you're kind of, I don't want to say dealing with consciousness, but you're in that state where you're aware of like being conscious. Yeah. How can, like, what is either some advice or like, how do we make sure not to fall into that, like, Cittamatra, not trap, but kind of just like, how can like you keep pushing to kind of like analyze that, to kind of like because you said that the consciousness is like the reflection in like the water. So like, what's a way that like when you're there, you can kind of push a little bit further than that?
I always started from the mindfulness of the body, so meditate within, when you, it can be, begin with your breathing meditations. Mm-hmm. When you're breathing in and out, and then your mind goes inside the body, and then try to see every part of the body inside, all the organs and everything. You see, there is air, there's a space and air, and then heats and the moistures, and then the solidities. And then, when you open the eye, you see colors. Mm-hmm. So, the kind of the perceptions, the color is not independently done. Perceiving the colors. It's not just because of the eye sense power, and not just because of the consciousness. Right? Not just because there is no consciousness independently seeing that color. Mm-hmm. There's no eye sense power by itself can see the color. But yes, there is the color that I am seeing. Mm-hmm. And now it is also conditioned by the consciousness, sense power, the light, and space, and form, and then even the water, the moisture in the body, even the breath in the body, even the heat in the body, all of them, conditioning there is the perceptions. Mm-hmm. Has to be, a perception that happened, seeing the color. So see, and then you close the eye, and there is no eye consciousness, eye perceptions. And then similarly, all of them, the smell and taste and the sound that you hear, all are like, there's nothing independent happening. If you try to, pinpoint or objectively, and everything is miraculously happening, right? So you cannot pinpoint to the one thing, yes, this is the one that doing that things. Mm-hmm. So then you see, And then you see all this through those heats, the moistures, the solidity, the earth elements, and then because of the air they breathe in and out, the hollow, the space in this body, and then you see what is the kind of, what is the origin, where this all the perceptions originated. It's not by the skin, not by the moisture, right? And then you say, oh, there's the subtle consciousness, the subtle energy that attached to your body.
Mhm.
And that also you cannot experience through the sensory perceptions. Not, mental consciousness can be exactly pinpoint where the energy is located. And then not only you can do is now I project that. There's sometime you can make the dot at the center of the body.
Mhm.
You think that this represents my subtle energies,
Mhm.
which can, perceiving everything through those moistures and heats, So, and these, and then these focus on that dot in the center of the body,
Mhm.
Which is the symbol of your subtle energies,
Mhm.
all the source and the origin of that,
Mhm.
things that you smell and see and think,
Mhm.
imagine something. Everything is this. And then you focus on that dot and try to staring at it,
Mhm.
And then when you get a little bit tired, and then again you look, oh, everything's happening, There is nothing independently doing, nothing independent happening,
Mhm.
But you cannot really pinpoint. So then they say, oh, this is a dependent originations. This is the dependent originations. Then keep doing that many times. And then you get a little bit distracted or tired, and again focus on the breathing, in and out, breathe in and out. And then again go back to the centers. So that's and then more you do that, and the more, and that it kind of, it expands your knowledge, understanding. So that's mind Tembanyavashava, Lu Tembanyavashavas. I think literally Tembanyavashava means Lu Tembanyavas, placing your mind onto body or feeling or the perceptions. Nyavashavas, placing your mind, which means bring your mind closer to the body or closer to the feeling, closer to each of the perceptions. So that is the mindfulness. So mindfulness does not mean full of thoughts.
Mhm.
Mindfulness and the attentions almost the same, right?
Mhm.
So mindfulness, the body means attention to the body. Almost, yeah, you can see it, everything is happening like miraculously.
Mhm.
There is no exact descriptions. This is why this is happening.
That's why a lot
It's kind of, there's entanglement. There's so much involved. So then you can see, oh, which means there's something to do with your karma. There's something that is background and pushing. Wave is continuing, and that kind of the continuation of the mind. There's the wave, all the karmic forces there. Otherwise, why can you see from the eyeball? Why cannot see to the nose? Because there's just water and heat and There's two, right? So yeah, okay. Chanju simjo rinpoche, ma jeba na jeju, jeba nyamba, meba ni kone kondo peruji. Tonye tawa rinpoche, ma jeba na jeju, jeba nyamba, meba, kone kondo peruji. Pama simje tamje dada denju. Ngendro tamje dada donwa da chanju simba, kama sushu. Teta kunye molom jubjuruji, kare rabe kobe shilam, penda dewa mandu jungwa ne. Jere sangwa tenzi gyado ji shaka, side bado denju ji.
May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. May the precious mind realizing emptiness not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. Due to all these merits, may all Father and Mother sentient beings have all the happiness, and may all the lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are Bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. O powerful Chandrakirti, remain in this world until samsara ends.
Thank you very much.